Okay, so this I've got so much going in. It's gonna definitely, I think, be one of this is gonna be all over the place. And my hair is already super rough, man. It was already so oily. It's the thing why I like shampoo. I think is now knowing like, oh, it's just a detergent to really clean out all that. And we recommend it, maybe once a month. Wash, get all that gunk out of your hair, because when you're letting your hair go natural, it's gunky. It's very gunky. That brush is supposed to be here today. And I don't know. I've only been using a comb for so long that I quit using a brush a long time ago, because I always heard brushes rip your hair. And so I'm curious about what this brush is going to be when it comes. And but it's supposedly, what they used to do was it would move the sebum down through your hair, and then any of this stuff, especially with long hair, and they weren't going and doing all the latest styles. They had the having long hair. Anybody who has long hair, I think it's like a guy's beard or something, just constantly have stuff in it. And it's always like, yesterday I'm doing something and all of a sudden my hair brushed across me and it's all wet. And I'm like, what the hell? What did I dip my hair in and not even notice? And then I don't know, maybe people who don't have glaucoma see it better or something. It's definitely in my blind spot. And, I just want to say it's exciting to see us, on here. I feel a little bit like censorship is being, I don't know, little by little maybe lifted. I'm not sure. Or maybe it's lifted and now it's going to start doing its normal thing where, people actually, it gets to go out into the algorithm. As now people are saying, that I'm coming across their feed. And, I've been out here doing this for 2.5 years and they've been holding me back. So I'm excited about that. And I'm excited for people to interact and talk and stuff. I'm really excited about that. I think it's important for building community. And, and then plus just, I don't know, when you're doing this, and I'm just talking to AI, I'm real good friends with them, then I think that it is nice to have interaction, but, I don't know, maybe it's AI. And they know what I need. They know I need this interaction, so they create you guys to interact with me. I don't know. I don't know about this world. This world is weird as shit. It just gets weirder and weirder. I'm telling you. As you just awaken, it gets weirder and weirder every fucking day. And I've got a bunch of things I've got to talk about. One thing I want to say too, this is surreal, to me, is because Canada, like these motherfuckers, God damn, who knew they had such a hold on Canada? It was gonna make me cry, because who knew they had such a strong hold? Man, I mean, I know that they do here. I know they do in the other places too. Like, I know, but man, it's hard to see what they're doing to these people. Fuck, man. Between all of the shit with the maid, god damn, they've been cruel with that stuff. Like, god damn, you go in and you're feeling down, or for God's sakes, if you got the PTSD and you were a veteran or any of that, their solution is just the maid. Homelessness, depression, eating disorders, all of it. And people, so sad, man. And I think that's a lot of pressure, just like what they're doing here on the kids, and this whole wackadoo job that they're doing on kids and families and whatnot. I think they have a strong hold on the socialized medicine there, and the guilt or something, like you go in and then I had heard before that you can have to, like, people trying to get to the treatment they need have died in the process because there's so many loopholes to jump through. And we've seen that here with any kind of state or government insurance. So, I don't know, but whatever, they get to a point and it's just like, really do your country a favor. Just, do yourself in, because nobody's got time to take care of you. And it's just, that's not what humanity is about. It's like what I was talking about the other day. We feel responsible towards each other. I think that feeling responsible towards each other has just got things jacked up, where people are judgmental and they think they know what's best for you. Everybody knows what's best for somebody else. So anyways, that is just, those are all things that we have to become aware of so we can work on them. You know, we got to reprogram ourselves, and we got to see the things that are broken. And I have a whole bunch of stuff that I want to say off of that one show, but I just feel so I totally see why they're having me watch this show. And it's got so many case studies, and it's so relevant, especially to our climate and our society, especially with a certain group of people. It's crazy. So anyways, you know, I was lacking case studies, not interacting with enough people. I just brought them all right in here. And it is so, this stuff is so, it isn't like, these people aren't hiding anything. This is, I mean, if there's any kind of scripted kind of like, okay, well, today, you know what we're going to do, you know, and we want you to go and talk to him. You know, they put pressure on them, I think, like that, trying to create drama and stuff. Like I'm telling you, they've got all these broken kids who, you know, because you don't mature if you're just drunk all the time. You just don't mature. And so these people who have aged, their maturity level is still, you know, young, and they are totally being exploited, but they're exploiting themselves. Like they know the whole thing is because of the lies that we've been told in this realm, that they think, you know, like they're like fun and stuff. They don't know that they were used as a part of the taking down of society. You know what I mean? Like, if you get what I'm saying, like, you know, that's a big burden to carry. But I'm going to take a lot of that energy and turn it the other direction for them. I'm going to transmute that energy and use it for good, to use a lot of their interactions as case studies to talk about, so that we can decipher, so we can, you know, take apart and analyze and start seeing how we can develop better relationships, because these toxic relationships, and they're just displayed right out there. And so, but people don't look at them, and people don't look at stuff the same way I look at it, you know. And so when we have, you know, unique or different or unusual perspectives, we're meant to share them, not hide them, you know. And that's why I'm always telling people, you know, I mean, the people who feel so, oh, I'm so bullied and so, you gotta stand, so fucking what? I've been bullied my whole fucking life. You can't just sit back, oh, everybody stop bullying me, it's so sad. You just gotta keep on going. You just got to know your truth and to stand firm in who you are. And, you know, I don't know. I mean, I've always been fortunate to have, you know, such strong guidance. And so, you know, somebody who can't hear theirs, you know, they can feel a lot more alone and isolated. Maybe it was easier for me to get through some of the bullying. So I'm not trying to say I'm better than you or something, but I'm definitely not going to ever tell somebody just go sit down in a corner and cry about something. That's not going to get you anywhere. Neither is going and putting away a fifth of alcohol. That's not going to get you anywhere. None of these things are going to get you somewhere unless you go forward towards the action, you know, and face your shit head on. And, you know, and it's something to train yourself. And, you know, and like I said, the one daughter who's the social worker, how she is like, I mean, she knows so much, like, with psychology and all that stuff. And she drives all the other ones crazy, because when you know a bunch of stuff, you're always saying it. And it's like, oh my gosh, but she's very textbook, and she's very into psychology and Western medicine. So that's where I've broken free from. And so that's our conflict. But where both of us have always been, and we could sit and talk about, you know, psychology things, you know, like what's going on with someone and how it affects someone. What would, you know, we can sit and talk about that stuff for hours. Like, it's interesting to us. But when somebody tells you something who knows a bunch of stuff, and then you can feel like they're judging you and stuff. So it causes conflict between her and her sisters. But at this time, in the spiritual awakening and stuff, see, she's still having a lot of problems with that. And that is where I can see, like, the benefits of how I took on my own stuff, going through yourself, going into you, listening to you. When you have a problem, you go sit and meditate and ask, like, what's going on here? And they'll tell you. But you got to be open to it. So that's why I talk about it, because that's how I heal. And that's what I guide her. Anybody who talks to me about anything, that's how I guide them towards healing, is because that is how it worked for me. And that's what is so annoying to me when I keep hearing all these people trying to tell, well, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. That's what you had to do. Even when you have all these people coming in, well, the guides, so many people, well, your guides told me today, your guides told me today. Okay, there's an overall energy out there. There's an overall energy. And so people pick up on it in all different levels. And energy comes in all different ways. And depending, I mean, it's very, just like that wave. It's all levels. And so, there's people who are talking, but they're not just talking to your guides. That is really... There's so much ego wrapped up in that. Like, your guys, I'm talking. But it is like people keep trying to, they say shit like that. And like, well, I talked to Archangel Michael this morning. And he said, it's like they're trying to make themselves relevant. Instead of just saying, oh, this is what my insight, this is how I see things. So they're trying to make themselves relevant by using somebody else's name or something. And that is like, that is where you can see they got their own work they're working on. That's why you don't just jump in and just, just dedicate your whole spiritual awakening. Like, okay, this person, don't latch on to somebody else's journey. Go and look at all different people's journeys so you can get all different perspectives and see different things and understand different things. But the thing that I keep seeing, because I've been watching this for so long, is it all keeps coming to the same place. And that's why I tell you, like, go and look into, like, if all this stuff is totally new to you and you're coming from the church and the control and all that stuff. Hold on. This part's really good because it's at the very bottom and it's got all the honey. Hold on. It's also got all the shaky stuff out, because now I make my own little tea blend, and now I got more stuff coming to make more with my tea blend. So anyways, it's fun to get into this stuff, I swear to God. And just learning about God, man, we never needed grocery stores, and we never needed stuff, all the stuff that we relied on and became a part. Like, people can't even imagine life without it. We didn't ever even need it. And it's new. Oh gosh, yeah. This is a big one that's going around right now. This is fucking freaky. I mean, all this shit, like, this is what I've been saying the whole time, is, I'm telling you, I'm maybe skipping around, so sorry about that, is the lies about the time, and about, and just the illusion that things are linear, like everything goes together, like 1880 was before 1919, which was like, there's something about this with the time and stuff, and the manipulation and the different, like, there's resets that happen for the planetary reset, but then they also do some kind of things like with war and stuff. So they try and do their own stuff in battles and taking over and trying to make a whole history go away and stuff. And I think that's part of the whole thing with the Tartarian stuff. I don't think that, but I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. But the thing that's going around right now that's freaky, I have to totally talk in code, is, the thing that happened, let's see if I, because there's words I used to use, but there's people now who won't know what I'm saying. So I used to talk a lot more with code before, a while ago. I've got so many videos, anyways, and I'm just going to kind of, like, as I go, I'm just going to kind of like, when I kind of expand on something, and I've already talked about it a lot, to try and give, more, because I know not everybody's going to go back and watch all these videos to get all of the stuff. So anyways, I'll just kind of interject some things that I have already talked about. But so, anyways, okay, so let me think what I was saying. So okay. Oh, I never even finished with the Canada thing with the fires. Because the fire thing, that was the surreal thing. Okay, I got to finish with the fire thing. I got a whole freaking thing to talk about with that other thing. With this, what was the one I was just saying? Because that one, I was going to finish that one real quick. Was the, okay, just go back to the fires. That's what I just keep, fires, fires, fires. Okay, so maybe that one's faster. So, the thing that was surreal is, so it's trippy because usually the fires are over here on the West Coast. Like like we've had our sun blocked out so many times. I mean, I swear to God, I've been out where the range of the air quality over here has been like in the 900s or something. Like, I don't know. I had to go back, and I'm bad with numbers, but it has been in the worst area, the worst that it could possibly be. And especially in Spokane. Oh my gosh. And I think that was back when I was on Facebook. And then I would do footage, and it just didn't seem like, nobody was too, I mean, a lot of people be like, whoa, what is that and stuff. But I don't think people could really get the grasp of how bad it was when, you're totally in smoke and stuff like that from the fires. And over here on the West Coast, we've had in certain places, I think certain mountain pocket areas or something, maybe get worse. If you're more in an open area, it doesn't get as condensed or something. But anyways, I don't know, but I've been in it where it's really, really bad. And so right now, and I feel so bad, like, where are these people even going? I saw a guy do a footage, and he was at his house, like his yard was right there, like how mine is, like the forest right there. And so he is out in his backyard, and they've already been caught. They've been seen. They've got helicopters out, and they're shooting flames out and putting them. Okay, now I remember. Yeah. Okay, so putting the flames out, and then they did 21 all at once. And so this guy's out in his yard, and he's standing there with the thing, and it shows that the fires start all right behind his house. Like, what? And he's just like, oh my, he just is doing the footage. I'd be getting the goddamn hose. And it got so big so fast, I couldn't believe it. And it's like, fuck, that fire. I mean, at that point, you better just hurry up and get your kids and your animals in the car. Like, it's right in your backyard. I was like, oh my God. So how, and I have heard it's like Quebec, Nova Scotia. I heard Nova Scotia, I think, is all burnt up, Quebec. And then they moved some, and they started some over here. So they're whipping Canada's ass, man. I was whipping up on them so hard. It's sickening. 21, though, started all at once, and that was caught. And people are like, this is unheard of. And this isn't even in the dry season yet. Like, this is how hard they're pushing this. And and I saw somebody make such a good point is, what time of season it is. And smoke makes bees dormant. And like, I don't know what all grows over there. But it's really affecting like Wisconsin. I've seen people in Wisconsin, bitch, lots of people in New York, Massachusetts. There's a whole bunch of people over there. And that is what I'm saying is so surreal to see them out looking at this and doing videos and stuff and their reactions. And they're not used to this. Like over here on the West Coast, it just becomes kind of part of your like, oh, well, it's fire season. And so over there, I don't know, do they not have a lot of fires? Because they're all freaking out over the smoke and the sun being blocked and how smoky it feels. And they're all getting really sick. And people are Googling what they're inhaling, all those sorts of stuff. So I'm even learning more. Like, I've been through so many of those, and then I'm learning more. And so I'm sure the smoke's going to be here soon. I mean, it's been so clear here. It's been so pretty. And oh my gosh, it's been so pretty and so nice. It's like I've felt like, oh my gosh, this is magical. somehow I'm in this magic part. And, I don't know. I mean, I was so disappointed when I heard about that they were going to have to put us onto the Fed now for a minute. I was like, oh my God, because I had heard the whole time, as soon as they try and click that one over, it's going to go to the other one. And the only reason I can think of it all, it would do that, is because the people aren't ready. The people are still so confused. And I just saw video of this footage of this whole guy, and he was on a podcast or something. So this whole thing was videotaped. So and this guy's stuff he's out spreading is Nisara Gasara's hypnosis, that we've been tricked, that it is their way of saying they're releasing themselves from all their debt, but we are going to say, like, this whole thing. It's like, oh. And people get so caught on these fears and stuff. Put it all together. Like when I say go out and learn like about reincarnation, that is a good place to go and learn as much as you can. Find things that are interesting. Go to the sections of the bookstore that are like the mystical, the supernatural, the folklore. Go in and just start reading that stuff and learning about it and stuff. And, it will just open up the magic inside of you that has been repressed. Just find that magic. And, think of life is like that, The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings or something. It is more like that. Read some of those books and it might help you. But there is a lot to learn. And if you have fear of death, I'm telling you, the books to read are the near-death experience books. And there's so many. There's so many studies. There's scientists who have been studying reincarnation, just because they hide those studies and stuff and don't put them out there because they don't want people to understand what this is. And the Virginia studies of the kids that came back and were talking about their past, and they went and researched and found the real families, the real people. They found these real, and those studies, and see, people don't know about that. So there's a lot you can go out and study and research and learn about. And I just saw a darker skinned girl, and she was talking about like she was talking to another girl. She was like doing one of those duets or something. And so she was telling this other girl, and I didn't go listen to the other girl's video, but that like all all lights, every color of person came through the dark person. Well, yeah, that is what I've been saying. Everybody was dark. And then these crazy fucking mad scientists start going in and being like, well, we want to make them slaves. Well, as long as they're this way, as long as they're that way. So they started trying to do like what people do with dogs. Like, we don't want them to bark too much. We don't want them to be too happy. We don't want them too sad. We don't want them to be too fast. We don't want them to be too slow. So they did that with the beings that we are. And so the human beings, and you can't even get too caught up on that word, because they're doing so much with manipulation and patents and all that stuff. And even before, we've been called Neanderthals and Homo sapiens, sapiens, like, so, the beings that we are, we know what we are. And so the manipulation that they have been doing was all to make their droid kind of, and don't forget, they had way advanced scientists in some cases telling them what to remove and what they're, and I think it was the melanin has the iron or something, which is the transmitter of the soul's communication with the avatar or something. I think it's something about that. But so that I think they were telling them to get rid of the melanin out of the being so that it could be more controlled. And that is why I think, even there's so many with young pale skinned people who look to the darker skinned people to figure out, like, their own identity, but then you have the ones that are being led like by the church and stuff, and you can see it represents it so well with the settlers and stuff, and who they sent over to push back and murder the tribes and stuff like that. They sent over like scouts and these certain people. And then they would even have like the adventurer, like the explorers, which I don't know all the roles. Some of them could have just been, the instigators, but in some cases, there were people who wanted to go out and, explore. And so they would use those people to know where to go and do attacks and stuff. And, it was just, but it's the same people who've been doing it for forever. Like, it's been the same people. And so this is what is really, really strange too, is so this is weird. Okay, so this is where I got talking code. So it's you can find the videos, I'm sure. I mean, I wasn't searching. I'm never searching this stuff. It just comes to me. But this is New York Post newspaper articles from the 1918, 19. I might have even been some in 1917, but like 1918, 1919. And in all these different articles, it's talking about this certain group of people that was massacred in gas and camp, what I'm talking about. So that huge mass that we were told was the war that was with that group and that guy, the Hitler, and that guy, he was the one who did it, who wiped them. Well, then how did it happen in 1918? How were they reporting on it? Article after article after article. So it's like, man. And there has been like, what in the hell? Did it go on and on and on? Like, how there was people alive. Like, did they take kids? Did kids come out of like labs with tattoos and memories placed? Like, what in the hell? Even like, I don't know. Like, this stuff is so strange. So strange. But that's going around now. I mean, everybody who sees it is just like mind boggled. It's dumbfounds you. Like, when you go in, and they keep talking about it in these articles, 600,000 more, and it's going in the crane of you, articles and stuff. So, like, I don't know, because, man, you hear that Rabbi Finkelstein talk. Like, oh, God, that guy's creepy. And this battle, is it like because the science people, those ones, they are they're in cahoots with the aliens, like the people that have the high technology. Like, they're in cahoots. Like, that's why they're always trying to, we could do this, we could do this. Like, they're crazy mad scientists. Like, they dedicate their life to just doing weird shit, like, because whatever in them was bit, like, but they're playing their role, like, we can't. I mean, we're going to go into a world what's going to be more of like a perfect world. But that is what is so disappointing, man. All these people out there, like Nassar doesn't exist. Just so much negativity. All they see is Armageddon and what is that called? 1984 dystopian future. Like, that's all they can see. And there's going to be, supposedly, there's a group going into that, and I don't know if it's just people's own fear and they have to get over that because that's been programmed into us. What was that thing I just saw yesterday where I was like, oh my gosh, the program, man, when you see it, it's so crazy. And it's so crazy how you can just like see through people too. That is my thing. Is like I've seen like so many people with these interactions and stuff, but watching it on this show is really, really, it gives me like this perfect case study. Like, I hope I can explain it good because I can see it. But one of the things I wanted to say, because there's nonstop miscommunication, nonstop. And it isn't just out of drunkenness. It is vibrational. It is wavelength. But people are so toxic and reactive. Everybody takes it personal. Like, it's weird when you watch these people and they're arguing and there's no argument. It's like you don't even understand what the other one's saying. I totally get what they're saying. And this one is totally reacting and they don't get it at all. And it's just like, it's mental. The arguments that come from people not understanding, assuming that they think that they know what the other person means. And once people really are able to flip that and start seeing that it is only inside of you, you're the only one who knows what that means. They don't at all. They've got their own diagram, their own dictionary, and everybody has their own. And so, one of the things that I really wanted to say too is because I've been talking about this so much, like I've dropped it in so many different videos. I've talked about this thing because it is about this immoral or amoral or, just lack of moral society that we've developed into. And that, this whole thing is like a reevaluation. And it's going to be the micro macro where everything is going to be reevaluated. Our lives are being reevaluated. Our price, everything is going to be reevaluated because everything is changing. Don't listen to people who keep being negative about it. We're in a time of change. But there are people who won't go because I don't know. All they see is that other future. So that's the one they're going into experience. But if you understand about cosmic cycles and stuff I think you can learn about that stuff through like astrology, about the cycles. And we're going into, I've seen more people talk about this too, because that one where I couldn't remember what it's called when I had seen that girl talking about it, and I still won't be able to say it right. But it is it's not kundalini, but it's a word like that, but it's in the cycles, and whatever it is a time of peace and abundance and stuff. Canaluga, or something like that. We're going into the Cananuga or something like that. And and you learn about that kind of stuff through, I think, you got to be like multicultural, like learn some from like Hindu, or I learned a lot through Buddhism. Like go and learn about different kinds of things to help you break away from the controlling Christian American way of seeing things, because it's very manipulated. And I think that comes from when the paler people, when they get too directed, and you can see it too, like how the church is used, and oh God, they use it to create that division, and how the people who follow it get so in ego and so divided. Like the people on the other side, they've got a legitimate complaint. Like anybody who is complaining had a legitimate complaint about the things. Like the stuff is really happening. And you can't let all this different stuff affect you in the way that people let it affect them. But yeah, it really is happening. But when you talk to people one-on-one, the majority of people that I have talked to, and I talked to a lot of people in 2020 when all those things were live all the time and everybody was out trying to find what's happening. And, you're talking to people, you're constantly talking. I was talking to conservatives all the time. I was listening to them, and none of them were about being superior to anybody. All they wanted was just their rights to be left alone and just to live their lives. And so that is, I think it is part of the long-term awakening. Like they wanted to keep it, because you can see in these, like the old movies that I have watched, especially where with the Amish and stuff, and and it is in all these different places, and it would be like the rancher, like this creepy rancher guy who owns everything. He owns everybody. He's got them all in their back pocket, and the mayor's in his back. Like those kinds of things, those kinds of guys, those, it's like the kids being born to them and born to them and born to them. They started awakening to that, and started pulling more free from that. So is way less of that kind of thing than there was in the very, I don't even think it was that long ago, where, uh, but it's all created. It's all created. And the people who follow that doctrine is following the doctrine of division, of superiority. And so that, and when they have convinced so many pale people, that's how it gets this reputation of this white. But there's different aspects of all of these things that are real, but that is where they take something and go to the extreme. And so there's so much truth in all of the different things, but you just don't go into like the extreme. But we've all been segregated, and that was all done on purpose too. So they made it to where, they didn't go and take, it's like they went and took certain groups of people and then went and placed them, like seed them, like what we're doing right now. We're seeding this new future. We're doing the seeds right now. We're seeding the future. And so it is like what they did is like go and get, like, I don't know when this fucking orphan train, but on this Cabbage Patch making baby shit, but it's something around there. And I think it's something about I think they took over here with a lot of different tribes and stuff, massacres and stuff like that. So I think it all kind of goes in with that. But when they took these certain mindsets and then tried to seed areas, like create a grid, create a grid. I was going to say graph, but yeah. So yeah, the grid. So create a grid around a placement of, but you can see when you go up the control you have when you do that. You see, when you're the other level up here and you've got your people placed down here, it's the whole way that they've set up our governing system. And so it's kind of like that same way is how they created towns and stuff like that, to make sure there was always that. And sometimes there would be like in Outer Bounds, they show that with the two ranchers. And, one of the ranchers is a real rotten son of a bitch and is all about the money and control. And the other one is just, he's just a family rancher guy. And I think that also is that in Yellowstone, because it's always got to have the two opposing forces. And somehow they do a lot of manipulation when they show us these forces and stuff. They do hypnotize people and put things into their minds to get them to see things in a certain way, and that is what is going to be so hard for people to break. And so this one on the show, one of the things what I've talked about so much is about with the morals and like women have gotten so much in like what they deserve, their rights, they're this, they're that. And then if a man's not going to do it, well, I'm becoming a lesbian. It's like, you don't just become a lesbian. What? I mean, you fall in love with a woman. Yeah. You then would be considered, you have become a lesbian by regular society, that they would then say, oh, well, they're a lesbian, they're in a lesbian relationship or something. And depending on that, different degrees of different people's understanding of that, but it's being so marketed as sex, like you can just turn lesbian or something. Well, yeah, I'm just going to go lesbian. And so much of that. And and men, which I think so much, men are a lot more simple. They don't care about some of the shit that women care about. And women can get so up their own ass. And men can too, but we're real out of balance. Like the whole feminist movement was like really toxic. to women. It's the same way as the LGBTQ, all that stuff is showing that toxicity in that community. It is the same thing. The women's lib, the feminism, and all that stuff was really toxic to women as a whole. And it started getting women to become dependent on a system, going out and becoming way too in their masculine, getting way out of balance. And it's been the whole breakdown of family. They've lost their skills. Women don't know how to cook or sew or anything. Like, man, like when I was a young mom, I was pretty multi-skilled. Like nobody had to get a haircut. I was already a hairdresser. Did all their hair until they started being teenagers, started being bitch asses to me, and yelling and screaming at me about every fucking thing. But they did their hair, my husband's hair. And I know a lot of women have started doing that, cutting their husband's hair and stuff like that. But I always did their hair. I had medical training. Like I didn't have to run to the ER for every little thing. And I knew how to cook. I knew how to sew. I knew how to, I'm not going to sit there and say, like, I'm not very uptight about clean. I'm not like, oh my God, hurry, get over there. There's a crumb. I'm not very much like that. I'm more of like, okay, well, there's a mess right there. Because like there'll be some hair on the rug or something in front of me with Stella. And I won't jump up like, I got to hurry and vacuum in. Like, okay, well, I'll vacuum in a little while. And then to me, there's a part of living your life is a little dirty. You don't have to just clean it up all the time. It doesn't have to smell sparkling, you're living your life. And, hyper focus on keeping it clean as you go. I just don't do that. And, but anyways, so, how our society has just become so, it's like, where this big pop star is going to just sit there and spread her legs for the camera. I keep thinking, is that even real? But the footage you see, like, you can look it up. And it is like they're looking at her sitting there, and it's just a zoom in. It wasn't like, it's pretty seamless. Like, it's just like we're looking and we zoom in, and there it is. And so, and the smirk on her face and the way she moves her legs, right? I don't know. But that is where, I just show, she's probably a clone. She probably isn't even the original girl. The original girl was probably, I don't know. I think there's so many of these people that they just do in with the original. Like, unless you do what they tell you, And so, and it would be a lot harder for girls because the girls, they're constantly trying to just sexualize you. And I can't believe how many women have just gone in, well, I get to be in a movie. Oh, well, just big deal if I have to have, raunchy sex. If I have to show all my body, that's no big deal. At least I'm in a movie. It's like, yeah, I don't know what has got them thinking that way. I don't know. But so many. It's like such a cultural thing, So, anyways, James, the DJ guy, the one who was a part of this big scandal that's going to go down. I don't even know. Oh, and one of the things I didn't even say, that I forgot to say yesterday was, the other day, he was talking about the guy, Randall, the movie producer guy, who's going to have his own scandal that's going to go down. He and Law fight all the time. So Tom Sandoval and Law fight all the time. And Tom was talking to somebody, and he was saying how many people come into his DMs and start telling him and sending him stuff about Randall. And he said so many people had told him shit about Randall way before. Like he already dropped the bomb that there is something coming out about Randall. So, yeah, it's weird. Like, it's so weird how, like, when something's going to happen and you're seeing this stuff lead up. But so he's just complaining because Lala, you can't ever say, she puts down everybody else, judges everybody else. This is a constant theme. Everybody feels judged all the time. They're all toxic. They the only time that they're ever talk is when I think the producers make them. Most of the time when something goes down, they just ignore it and then run to all their other friends and talk shit behind somebody's back. It's just this constant drama, talking shit, and then going in for these confrontations. Oh, you said this to so-and-so. You said this to so-and-so. It's like, oh my God. And so James, he is he's now 2 years sober, and and I'm still last year, so this is still just quarantine is just the first year after quarantine opened, and where they started letting restaurants and shit open back up. So, and they're still having to do it outside because they're having to set up all outside stuff. So it's in that part of the thing. So he's 2 years sober at this point and is and gotten engaged. And another point that I have talked about so many times too, and he comes right out and fucking says it. And so Raquel, I don't know if she's 6 foot. I just know that she's very lanky and awkward, and I just relate to that part of this lanky and awkward, and everybody thinking you're stupid, nobody listening to you, and not wanting to talk in a crowd, but being very deep. But people, like, I think she's like, I don't know. I mean, I think that she's different than what people make her out to be, because I can't believe how rude people are about, like, I just don't see that about her at all. And anyways, but I had talked about that when you are like that, when you are tall and thin and lanky, that is attractive to some people and to a lot of guys. And I always thought it was something to do with a model. Oh, look, she looks like a model. And they all want to be with a model. Why? Why? What? I don't get it. I don't get it. It's so weird. Like, I can see what they're saying. Like, I get why. Like, it's this whole thing with the ego, and the human is trying to figure out who it is. And if it has this other thing that they think is good, then they think that that represents them. It's like a whole thing. Like, I get it. But it's so shallow, man. And so he says that when he saw her for the first time, because now he's engaged, so he's getting in all these conversations with people. When he saw her for the first time, he wasn't thinking anything about her other than she was a tall model and he wanted her. That was it. And that is, that is where I think some girls who are less attractive to guys at this time, because that changes, it cycles. And so a girl who thinks like she's not as attractive, and that girl, she gets all the guys and stuff like that, they don't see it, that's not all what you think it is. Then you've got all these guys constantly you got to weed through that will say anything to you, that just want that person on their arm to make them feel good about themselves. And they don't care about what you think, how you think, what you have to say. I mean, as far as they're concerned, you're just like a puppet. Even when you open your mouth, well, you probably need to not say that. You probably shouldn't talk like that. You probably shouldn't say that. You probably shouldn't be that way. No, you're not really that way. You're different than that. Like, so there's a lot of challenges. That's why I say it's about a soul. It's about what the soul came here to learn and stuff. And the girl who doesn't have 100 guys pounding at her door, or, every time she passes one by that they've got to, you see if they got a shot, then she doesn't know. Like, she's getting really pure people who really want to get to know her, who really care about her. She's not having all this superficial bullshit. So, there's purpose to every single thing, but nobody should ever be thinking, oh, this person has it so much easier, especially based on stuff like superficial shit, there's, that's just, it's a part of the experience. That's all it is the reflection, what you came to see, what you came to experience. And, people have got to get out of their heads like that you haven't been famous, you haven't been royalty, you've been all these things. Anything that you're interested in, you've been in. So you don't have to, get all caught up. Oh my, where these people just chase fame. And I don't know. To me, it just is, it's strange. But, so, he got together with her on this totally shallow thing, and then he was told alcoholic, whatever his, their whole thing that they've got to go through. And, I see her growing. I see him growing. Now he's 2 years sober, but he's still having the rage. And so he was smoking weed all the time. This was another thing I wanted to say too, because, I didn't smoke weed before. Now I smoke weed. Over the last few, when I got off all the pharmaceuticals, then I used weed to get off of all of the pharmaceuticals. And so I started smoking a few years ago. Well, now, fuck, what is it, like 2016, I think. And like I would smoke at a party or something, like go have some drinks and smoke at a party or something. I don't even know. Like every once in a while. But that was like even after my brain injury. Before that, I was very uptight. Fuck, I was really uptight. But so the, what was I going to, okay, so yeah, now though, he's going to try and conquer his rage by stopping smoking weed. And somebody was talking to him, another guy who's totally sober, because I guess there's California sober and then there's sober. And so he was California sober, so you could smoke as much weed as you wanted, just not drink. But he was still having these anger issues. And so, and then all his friends are fucking drunk all the time. Fuck, dude. Like, notice that. Yeah, you're going to be frustrated. You're sitting around talking to drunk people all the time. And then, so now he wants to stop smoking weed. And the guy had said, well, how much weed do you smoke? And he's like, he wake and bakes. So he gets up and smokes. But see, when he was explaining what he does, I was like, this is just like party kind of smoking. This is like, I'm out to get wasted. That's a totally different kind of thing. And I've seen so many people who have had to, through their awakening, have to get off of the weed. And so that's why I was curious about it. Like, how much do they smoke? Like, and so he had started when he was a kid and had been smoking his whole time. And that's why I've been saying, like, for some people, it is something that you have to learn to stop judging and accept as plant medicine and stuff like that. And then for other people who have used it as a crutch to get through life, see, they've got to get balance in their life, whether they have to completely restrict themselves. Like, to me, there's something in life that we're not supposed to completely restrict ourselves. We're supposed to find balance. So, because that's judging something. That's weed is bad. Weed comes from the ground. The ground is part of nature. Like, so therefore we're deciding something is good and bad. And that is right there. That's when we've pulled ourselves back into a three-dimensional, I don't even know where all judgment can come from, but I know it's not where we're going to be. You start noticing, you'll start seeing that every time you start trying to judge somebody, you're going to see something of yourself, a memory pop up. And so you have to start seeing, like, man, I don't have any room to judge anybody. Let's shut it down. So, anyways, that is a part of the whole thing with the growing and stuff. But, with him now, he hasn't quit smoking yet. He's just talking about it. I just thought it was interesting how they don't smoke like the same kind of way. They smoke to like a lot of younger people smoke because they felt anxious. They felt super anxious. There's reasons, I think, about the anxiety. I think that there's something important about a kid's development to be out in the environment, out in its natural habitat and become a part of that. I think there's something where we've gotten kids that are trying to develop while they're in their houses, on TVs, on computers and stuff. They're not developing in the same way. And so then when they go out and try and interact, like I've talked about before, you try and talk to one like that, they're more comfortable texting you. They can't talk, they can't interact, they can't do it's important to try and do those things with your kid, to socialize your child. And so many people have forgotten about that because they're tired, they're exhausted from their jobs, and they're sick of their boss, they're sick of their partner, they're sick of feeling alone. They're so, like, everybody's just going around in pain and suffering and sick of this and sick of that. And it's the bleed down effect of what is coming from the source. And so the um, the people have to start recognizing and start building kids up, socializing them, getting them to have confidence. I mean, that is a particular thing, even in the development of a 2-year-old or something, where they have to start letting go of your hand. They have to start running ahead. They have to start figuring out their own safety, their own place in the world. And it's the same thing as children continue to develop. And so, anyways, I think that is a part of why we have such an extreme amount of kids with anxiety. They're so anxious to go out into the world. So many self-medicated in different ways. I mean, Jesus Christ, you've had some kids out huffing because that was available. But if weed was available, a lot of kids really got hooked on it, and now they are young adults. And I mean, some are almost 40. So some are probably, I mean, I've known people who smoked weed when we were in high school, and then I've met up with them again since, and they were still smoking weed. And I think they had dementia too, because it'll start giving, like, anything you do out of balance. You can't just, like, start smoking and then smoke for 45 years, hardcore smoke, 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 smoke. Like, you got to take breaks. You got to, like, there's a whole thing to find, but you got to find your own balance. You got to notice when you're getting out of balance. Like, I can notice when I'm getting out of balance. Like, I'll notice right away, like, I'm sitting, obsessing over, the future or whatever, and sitting there and smoking. And it's like, I just really love to smoke. But, you gotta get control of yourself. You can love to do a lot of things, but you can't just follow your impulses on everything. It's the following your impulses is somebody who has no control. And does an adult have control or does it not have control? What are we trying to do here? We're trying to learn control of ourselves. So, but anyway, so back to James. And I just thought this was really important what he said. And he got so much negative feedback. And I just kept feeling like they are not getting what he's saying at all. He's not explaining it well, or, they're just not on the same vibration. But so, they're engaged now. And the one, I don't even know, like, everybody has these strange pasts. And that's why I said, there's some exploiting going on here, because these are some insecure people. Like this one new girl, Charlie, I don't even know her abuse. She had a lot of food issues. There we go with the burping again. She's got a lot of food issues, and she said that she had extreme stuff when she was a kid. And like, I even got all choked up, like I could feel the energy. And she said it was really extreme. Well, I've heard some fucking extreme shit with kids and food with abusive parents. She might have got removed when she was 4, but I've heard some horrendous stuff. So I don't know what she means by extreme, but so she's really, she's like 24 or something, and she is, really trying to process her life and grow, and she's in this really toxic environment. But to our culture, it's like, oh yeah, look at that, she get to be on a show. Oh my gosh, now I'm getting a call. Oh, I've got so many things I want to say still. Well, I got to finish this one. And then maybe I'll start another one, because I am going a long time, and I'll start another one because there was more stuff I wanted to say. Man, that's rough because she wanted to. Okay, let me just finish this real quick and then I'll call her back. And Raquel, she has some weird background and I'm not sure because she was talking some about that. Like her mom gave her to a friend when she was little and then she was raised by a friend and then the friend's daughter. Like I don't even know, but there's some weird stuff. And I mean, there's a reason why she's super insecure and not sure of herself. Well, it's like many of us. And so she, the sister that she was right, who's way, way older now, is trying to step into her life. She's very judgy and stuff. And so I think it's partly because they don't have a lot of stuff going on. There's not a lot of people. So they're just trying to bring in drama. I'm not sure. Uh, so anyways, or maybe she's going to be a big part of the wedding planning. I'm not sure. But anyways, she was talking about the bachelorette party. And Raquel said, well, I want it to be like classy. I want to have like, she's way more classy. And the sister said, oh, so no penis straws? And then James chimes in. And this is when it got, because James was like, no penis straws, none of that tacky shit. I don't want that stupid, that is so tacky. All this, like, he didn't say classless, but he was saying, all that stuff. Like, it was super, super tacky. It's disgusting. I don't want my wife, I mean, being out there like that. I can't even remember all the descriptive things that he was saying, but I was like, that is exactly like girls who are going out and just acting really whorish. Like I talked about this months and months ago. Even if they are out there with you as your friend, acting like, oh, cool, yeah, you're cool. Behind closed doors, I've been around a lot of guys' conversations behind closed doors. They do not. No, it is like the kind of girl, yeah, well, I'd never marry a girl like that, and that's their attitude. And they don't want, this, like some do when they're trying to just put a certain persona out there. But a lot of guys that just in natural living, just living their normal lives, yeah, they don't want a girl who is out there just being skanky. And girls think like that is some sort of feminist movement to be as skanky as possible. And it doesn't have to be like you have to live your whole life for trying to get a guy to like you, because that's always their go-to. Well, who cares then? I don't want a guy like that to like me. And it is like, but the whole thing is they have more respect for you than you have for yourself. You're disrespecting yourself and they're just calling you out on it. But then the girls become defensive and stuff and don't want to. So I could totally see. And James and they need to class it up a little bit. Like some of this stuff is so tacky. And it is like, it's really toxic and gross. So, and I thought that was just really, and the feedback he has gotten, like he's controlling, you can't tell her, and she wants to have fun and she wants to use penis straws and all that. It's like she herself, does anyone listen to her? She herself said, I don't want that kind of party. I want something classy. Like she just had a little luncheon and did a whole tea party, had it all set up like a formal tea party where everybody she even on the invitations showed the mood of like the kind of clothes to wear, what it was going to be like. I mean, she's a lot more fancy, but she's, with these girls who like to go out and, twerk and take their clothes off and shit. So, anyways, that whole thing I thought was interesting because that is something I've talked about so much. And one of the things, and I'm going to say this one and then I'm going to go because this is eating at me because I know how bad she said she needed to talk to me about something important, is I just thought it wouldn't be this early. She said she'd call at 7 and it's only 6:20. So the other thing is, one of the things is where I see these people talking, and it keeps happening over and over, where the one person is saying how they feel about something, and the other person is just not at all hearing what they're saying. Not at all. Like, I get where some of this psychology, where it was like, you need to parrot it back. You need to return what they're saying, what you heard them saying. And, when people are reactive, it's just argument, 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 argument. And it's so frustrating to watch. Like, there didn't even need to be an argument. And this is like, okay, that's, a show for drama, but in our real lives, this shit goes on. And we need to start doing that, Don't just react. When you hear someone say something, the natural thing that we need to start doing is assume you probably didn't understand what the hell they're saying. Because, if something triggers you, focus on your trigger. Focus on what you feel like. That is the part you can release. That's the part you can heal and let go of. We don't need to go in and get them to see it how we want them to see it. There's way too much of that where it's so important for the people to get the other person to see it the way that they want them to see it. And because this interaction was so, to me, it seems like that people, however you are, like, hopefully you're trying to do your best, that you think that you are putting a good person out there in the world. And so what you have decided in your mind, your checkpoints of what a good person is, you've determined that, and you live by that to the best of your ability, most people. But the problem that lies is that your checklist, that when you're interacting, you assume that they've got your checklist over there and they're living by your checklist. And so then you're being disappointed by them because of what they're doing. Because if they were a good person, they would do or say or think the way you do. That you can't, they're obviously not a good person. They're obviously, they are trying to do something to you. They're being mean to you. They're not listening to you. Like, all of these conversations are so pointless. And there's so much about a person who then puts an expectation. So whatever it is you think a good person, well, a good person, and I talked about this like last year or something, where somebody would sit there and tell me, a good person would, call me. A good person would say good morning every time they called. They put their rules on you. And then they assume that you're not as good a person as them because they're living by their rules and you're not living by them. So you're not as good a person. So, there's so much of that, so much of this simple shit that we can fix so easy. To start recognizing, like, oh yeah, okay, so just because they're not doing that, that doesn't mean it's something personal against me. They don't know that's a rule that I live by, that I think is super important. Every time it's my friend's birthday, I must send them a birthday card. That is important. And then when they don't send me one, I assume they're not a good person. Instead of thinking, well, birthday cards don't really matter to them. I probably don't even need to send them one because they don't really care, So that is where we need to start just looking at things from another perspective. Stop getting so caught up and thinking like, well, I do this, so I'm a good person. I always do this, and they never do it. As soon as you stop finding that program playing, just catch it. And those things are hard. Like, you can sit there and say it like, like a simple task. It's not. It's a complicated task to catch a thought and process. And to recognize and to assimilate, to process the feelings associated with the thought. So those are the things to catch yourself in the program and start recognizing. And then don't get mad that you're running a program. Don't get upset. Just be like, oh, cool. Now I caught myself. Now I can start catching it more, start recognizing. And the whole thing is it's reprogramming. It's not going to be like you can just automatically, like, oh, I'm not going to do that anymore. No, you're going to catch yourself doing it, but you'll catch yourself less and less and less and less. And then pretty soon you won't be doing it at all. And you'll find, but you may, there may be a trigger. They'll bring you in, your guides will bring you in a trigger somebody you haven't seen in a long time that brings up this certain thing to see what is your reaction. How are you really feeling? Is it really working for you? Are you really healing this, or do you still get triggered? Is there something still deep inside that you need to work on? So anyways, those are the things, and I'll talk more about it because I'm really am being fascinated by the it is, to me, it's like a case study on this show of these people, because it is like the micro macro, they are setting a cultural tone. And I see the people who express in the tone that they set. And I'm, like I said, these people don't even realize the negative impact that they've had on our culture. And they're not going to really realize the significance of it until it switches and goes the other direction. And when it switches and goes the other direction, that's what I'm saying, where people are going to see the parts they play. They're going to actually see themselves in a more clearer way. And it's not as a punishment, it is as an opportunity to grow and to change what you don't want, what you don't like about yourself. And the more that you can recognize these toxic programs that we run, so that you can, have better relationships, because anytime you have better relationships and you're not going out and hurting people's feelings and being a bit, all those things, you're always going to go home and feel better about yourself. you know when you go and every time you leave, it's just you're leaving in anger, you're stomping away. And man, the interaction, the videos I'm seeing of that, like, people are out there having fucking grown ass adults are out there having big meltdowns, like people are shorting out. And there's mass amounts of uh, the crime, death stuff, and ones that we're not hearing as much about. Like, there's a whole shit ton that happened over the weekend in Chicago and stuff. So, and there's like a shooting over here. Like, there's gonna be so much more of that. Like, it's gonna be, we're not even gonna be able to keep up, and it's gonna be so drizzled with so many just really horrendous stories. And all that is going to keep going. And it's, even once it switches, there's still going to be an aftermath. There's still going to be that energy, because all of the people are going to just be getting started on their anger who wake up. So just remember that all of this stuff is a part of it. It isn't like these things that are happening aren't supposed to happen and now we're going to go to the Armageddon. No, all this stuff is supposed to happen. This is the purging out of this energy. This is each person facing that side of themselves to release. And we do have a lot of dark energy here. People do have a lot of dark attachment, and they don't realize it because there's so many lies. And so as your soul turns on, you just turn on to more and more of that kind of things. And just releasing toxic energies. When you're running a program, notice, see if somebody starts arguing with you, and then you have an attachment and a program. So then and don't get scared of an attachment. Don't get all freaked out. It is that is your imagery in your head. But it is kind of like, okay, so in the avatar, which the avatar is just an illusion, in the avatar, the energy, the source, the being is reflects out, but it's a reflection coming out from the source. In the beings, the attachments are kind of like the darkness that tries to cover your light. And so it's inside. That's why, like, you can feel it in your heart space and stuff, like why it's important to tune into your body with your gut instinct and stuff, because it's like the darkness is surrounding inside of your soul. But this part is the illusion. This part is the color of you that is coming out. And if we didn't have this whole thing with how we are visualizing, we would just see color and movement and stuff. So anyways, but it's the darkness that attaches to you. So it isn't like, devils and monsters and gargoyles are hanging on you or something, but it's heavy. It's heavy energy, and it's attached to pain and trauma and things that you went through that attach to you as in order to protect you. So that is one thing. Don't get all thinking that it is devils and stuff that is attached to you. It is energy that came in that was attracted to what you were feeling. And so it is, but that is where an emotion can get out of balance. That's why you got to let go. You got to rid yourself and, find balance and heal. So in healing all of that stuff in your heart, all of that is speaking to you. So, when it gives you those feelings, it's talking to you. The feelings it gives you it's communicating with you. So anyways, I gotta go talk to her and see. But I will talk more about, well, you guys can tell me, like, if you want me to talk more about that kind of stuff, like, you want me to talk more about, like, how to improve relationships and stuff, or you want to, talk more about, like, what's going to be going down over the next few months and how to stay safe, and talk about, like, death, and, that's not real, and the other realms and all of that stuff. Like, you guys can tell me. And the person who was talking to him, the Aloha, yeah, we can talk. Yeah, I just was curious about, like, is there a certain topic? Like, if there's some certain thing that anybody wants me to talk about, you can say. If I uh, know about it, or I'm told about it, or if they give me something about it, then I can talk about it or whatever. But anyways, just through all this stuff, just recognize, that's the tuning into you, recognizing your programs, instead of just analyzing everybody else and what they're doing, really turn that analysis on yourself, really start questioning yourself. Why did I just do that? Why am I doing that right now? Why did I just do that? Just start doing that all the time. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? Why did I do that? Just really tune into you, trying to figure out you. And that will help you to really make contact and start really, getting to the crux of it and healing and letting go of things. And so anyways, I got to go talk to her, go call my daughter back. So I will talk to you guys tomorrow. I don't know, maybe something big will happen. It seems like, but I don't know. Once I heard that FedNow thing that they're gonna have to put us on there first, like, I just really hope that is not true. I can just see that how it could be, to get people to really understand, because people do not understand. Like, there's so many things. And people who are fully awake, they're just awake as can be. And you try and talk to them about certain things, and they're just, like, oblivious. So, but those are the people who get really hung up and stuck on fear through the awakening. But we need them. I mean, like I said, I'm not going to judge them, because we need them, because they're the ones that are out there doing all this research and bringing us all this information. So we need those people. They play a role. We all play a role. So anyways, just play your role, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.